RWBY Ice Queendom Episode 7 Dreams Come Rude has officially released, so let me break it down for you. So all of the main characters have entered Weiss's dream. You know what I've always said, you can't spell Ruby without a J. Jean is with the team as he always is, this time with 2 weapons? He still has his normal sword, but he is also in possession of a much larger, intricate, heavy one that is way out of his depth. But you know, you could probably say that about anything regarding Jean. What's interesting about that, however, is how the character surmise Weiss must think that he can't handle his weapon. Which, you know, fair enough. But it's not exactly as though it's the most complex thing ever. It's literally just a sword and shield. It's one step above a pointy stick compared to literally every other character. Jean's weapon seems kinda primitive. It makes me wonder if the writers were hinting at Jean's lineage and Weiss being familiar with them, seeing the weapon as too good for Jean's hands, being almost legendary in status, which wound up manifesting in the form of a much grander, intricate blade being in his possession. But if that were the case, I don't know why it wouldn't have simply just replaced his real one. I don't know why Jean gets 2 iterations of his weapons while everyone else literally is just stuck with what they have. But anyway, step 1 of their final attempt is changing what happens within the dream, and to do so, they start off by saving the Schneedust train. They fight off all of the White Fang members, and when Weiss goes in for her daily debrief, she's shocked to learn that the train is safe. It seems that Weiss is fully aware of what's supposed to happen within her dream, and that does include the train having been ransacked and derailed. So when that doesn't happen, she's kinda at a loss for what to do next. Put on the spot, she's forced to make a decision between keeping the gates closed or opening up, figuratively and literally, unknown who she's letting in. And the results is that she decides to open up, letting Ruby, Blake, and Yang inside. And also Jean. We get a really long montage of the city opening up as the train passes through with triumphant music playing in the background. It goes on for a surprisingly long time. But anyway, after that's all said and done, with Jean inside, it's time to use him for his one purpose. Going undetected, he wanders around the guarded area until he comes across the silly cage. Not being able to bear seeing his friends inside, he decides to help them. He tricks Dopey Klein into opening the cage and wanders inside. But once in, things are quite a bit different. There's all these carnival stands, it's warm and comfortable, and even his itchy nose goes away, which he is supposed to be using to try and find Weiss. He also finds a relic, because I don't know. But speaking of Weiss, we get to probably one of the only real notable parts of this episode, and that's the horde of child Weisses that get released into the world. It seems that ever since this age, she began locking up her feelings and working towards becoming the heiress of the company. As such, all of these children embody Weiss's childhood desires, going outside, going to festivals, being spoiled, eating whatever she wants, playing with friends, being with her family, the list goes on. And as such, they spread that Christmas joy to anything that they touch. It seems to be a happy development on our character's end, proving that you can't keep the things you love locked away forever. Alongside getting an army of children to help fight for you. You know, they really are just like Ozpin. Look, if it benefits you, put the kids to work, make them your army. But things quickly go wrong. The nightmare's manifestation is infecting and spreading faster than normal, turning pretty much everyone hostile. Ren and Nora try to attack Jean and Pyrrha, and Weiss's babies turn into titans. The show unironically just turns into Attack on Titan. The crazy thing is, I never said this in a video because I didn't think it was actually worth saying out loud, but anytime we were going around the city, I would think to myself that all the buildings look more like something you would see in Attack on Titan than you would this empire. I get that the whole place is a lot more realistic, but considering we're in a dream world, part of me thought the place would be a lot more cleaned up, maybe resembling her mansion. You know, that the whole city would look like that, but it didn't, and it looked like Attack on Titan, and evidently, that came true. I just wish one of these baby Weisses picked up an Atlas robot and snapped it in half with its hands and just ate it. Just go the extra Titan mile, cause you know, that would have been hilarious. But anyway, things are going kinda crazy. Everything is getting out of hand and Jean and Pyrrha are about to be devoured. That is, until Weiss shows up and decides to just clean house. Seems she's sick and tired of all these shenanigans going on, and so she summons the power of God, brings on the thunder and lightning, and turns Big Nicholas into its own sentient kaiju boss. Now this is how you hype up a fight and end an episode. But that was pretty much it. A lot of this episode did wind up being nothing. Nothing in the sense that not much actually happened. They saved the train, got inside, released the Weisses, and now she wants to fight. Something I will say that I had a problem with this episode was the over-explaining of what things represented in Weiss's mind. I get that in an entire world where literally everything can be looked at to serve a deeper meaning, there are some things that might be better to say out loud and explain to the audience. The series has been doing that, and I've been fine with it because it wasn't doing it too much. But this episode in particular, beat after beat, Weiss must think this about you. This must be how Weiss feels. I guess Weiss did this for this. It was too much over-explaining the meaning of things as they just kept happening. Did we need an explanation of how Weiss thinks that Jean is useless? We didn't get an explanation for the other three girls, and they're the main characters. We kinda just have to infer and assume. Was it so hard to figure out Weiss had to lock away her childhood and this side of her? It's not like a lot of this is super obscure and hard to interpret. I get why they did it with the child Weisses because that's kind of a big moment. And like I said, I think it's fine that the show does this every once in a while, but this episode overdid it way too much. And Jean. Speaking of Jean, I waited to see if he was absolutely necessary to the plot and if he just had to be included. I gave him a fair shake, saw what he did, and no, he wasn't needed. All he did was open the silly jail, which was not part of his job, by the way. He just saw his team in there and wanted to free them. It was a coincidence that he found the relic and got all of the Weisses out. Outside of that, his job as a hot and cold detector was immediately ditched after they got an army. Team RWBY pissed off to the center of the tower again, as has been their plan since episode 4. They have a general idea of where to find Weiss's body, and they just went back to what they were doing. They ditched Jean, which good, I didn't want him around the main characters, but it only reinforces the idea that he didn't need to be there in the first place. Any one of Team RWBY could have opened the silly jail and let all of the Weisses out. Blake at the very least has the ability to pick the lock. And now Jean has kind of just created a new storyline to follow. He pulled Dream Pira to the side and is just protecting her for no reason. And she's not getting got by the vines like everyone else. So it's just a new plot line for no reason. I'd rather just watch 20 minutes of Big Nicholas versus Team RWBY with hype-ass action and music, quite frankly. This episode, a lot of setting things up, getting ready for a big fight. Yes, the Lolly Weisses were very notable and a huge talking point for this episode, but other than the memes it'll spawn, it wasn't the most eventful episode that we've gotten. I do like how the episode utilized the child Weisses, seeing the age likely exactly or around when she had to give up her happier and simple childhood to become a respectable schnee, or perhaps it was a childhood that she never had. We know that she's Jacques' kid, so imagining that he treated her nicely until the age of 10 is kinda wild, but also slightly makes sense. Treating your kid nicely when they're young might ensure that they're more responsive to your guidance and command when they're older. Winter likely never got it. Perhaps he tested it with Weiss and perfected it with Whitley. So it's possible that Jacques was a semi-decent father to Weiss during her younger years, or at least allowed her to be a child before he began trying to mold her into the Ice Queen. But I don't know, that's speculation. The episode did have funny moments, funny memes, hype-ass ending, but overall, not too much. Moral of the episode is, if Ozpin could have an army of lolly titans, he would.